How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Spider. Well, that's not my real name, but that's my YouTube name. And in this video, we're going to be going through a few transactions that I made. Obviously, by the title and the thumbnail, you know what this is about. So yeah, basically in the WPF, after week 2, I kind of realized that some things were a little bit just kind of off by my team. I wasn't really using a lot of the mods. And I didn't see myself using them in the future, and that's really what it comes down to, is that, you know, even if I like, you know, the idea of using certain Pokemon, if it just doesn't fit into my playstyle, it's just not going to work. So we did make 5 transactions, so we dropped 5 Pokemon and we picked up 5. Now one of them was actually a trade to a different coach, so you know, with this league, you have unlimited trades, and you have 5 free agent transactions. So trades are within from team to team, and free agents are just Pokemon that were never drafted, and you can pick them up from the draft board and move on. So you get 5 of those. So I still have 1 of those because I only did 4 free agent transactions and then 1 trade. So I believe we also have, we have 2 points left over. So if we decide to make another, you know, free agent transaction later in the season, we have a little bit of wiggle room with that. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get right into it. Obviously, I'm just on the showdown thing here because I didn't feel like making any graphics for this. It's just gonna be a quick video, I think. So the 5 Pokemon I traded away, I'm gonna do it like this. So we have Pheasantipity is the one I traded to a different team, and then I dropped Cyclizar, oh my god, I can't type, Orthworm, what else? Veluza and Rampardos. So these 5 Pokemon I ultimately decided, we'll go one by one, ultimately decided they just, you know, we're not going to fit the team, and I wouldn't get a lot of value out of these 5. So the first one was Pheasantipity. Now, I traded this for a different poison type, and I decided, you know, I think Pheasantipity is really cool, but the issue I was running into was that it's just so damn passive that it's tough to make work on a team. And because of it's got great special defense, but because of its HP and physical defense stats, it's really difficult to kind of make work. And the thing about the speed tier is it's got a nice speed tier, 99, but no one's prepping for a Pheasantipity or to run a lot of speed. That's just the fact, is that it's not something that's going to be running speed, and even if I am, they're not that threatened by these offensive stats. I mean, I was trying to run like a nasty plot set in both of the weeks, and it just wasn't working out because I wasn't doing any damage. Even at +2, I'm base 70 special attack, and on the physical side, yeah, it gets a good amount of moves, gets U-turn, gets Sword Stance even, but you know, Play Rough is 90% accurate. I know that that's no excuse to not run it, but again, base 91 attack, is it really worth it? No, because it's just, you know, and again, Poison Fairy is a great typing, I love that, but you know, as I was doing calcs, I'm not investing in physical defense, and if I don't invest in physical defense, I'm just not going to do enough damage. So, or I'm not gonna take enough. I'm gonna take too much damage. So, anyway, that was the deal with Pheasantipity. I really wanted to use it, but it's just not working out. So, next up, Cyclizar. Again, Cyclizar is great as a speed tier. It's only great there as a fast Pokemon if you end up using it. Because I just wasn't using it, you know, and I didn't see myself using it. I was like looked ahead at the next, you know, 4, 5, 6 matchups, and I just didn't see myself using it. You know, I love how it can rapid spin. I love that it's a fast rapid spinner. I love that it can taunt things. I love that it can U-turn. It gets regenerator. All these things are true. It gets knockoff. All these things are true. I didn't see myself using it. And that's the kind of thing that you kind of have to feel out. You're never gonna know unless you get into it, and unless you just start prepping for things, and you can't do that until after the draft because you don't know who you're playing. So again, just a situation where it wasn't going to work out, and yeah. So next up is Orthworm. Now the next 3 are my Terra Captains, which means if you drop a Terra Captain, you obviously have the ability to draft new ones and all that. So Orthworm, again, you know, its special defense is such doo-doo, and it's so slow that even with the, you know, Earthquake, the ground immunity, and being a Terra Captain is helpful, it just wasn't, I felt like it wasn't really going to make much of a difference on this team. And it's really, you know, kind of crippling coverage. You know, it gets great body slam, earthquake, iron head. That's about it, and rock slide. But it's also not very strong. So unless you're doing iron defense body press, which is a strat, unless you're doing that, or spike stacking, whatever it may be, but it's so slow and it's so frail on the special side. Like I said, I just didn't see myself using it that much. So that's the ortho. I feel like just Tinglu does this better, to be honest, because it can take hits on both sides very well, and it's got a much better HP stat. Next up is Veluza, another Terra Cap. I did use this in week 1. I almost brought it in week 2. The issue I'm finding with it is that I don't think I'll bring it very often, just because of how frail it is. So this thing, what it does, and it's a Terra Cap, so that's good. I can change typings, which can be helpful. It's very situational in my opinion, and that's fine. It's a 4-point Pokemon, but I felt like I wasn't gonna get a 4-point value out of this because, you know, Fillet Away, it's like a Shell Smash, except it cuts your HP in half. Even if I'm using a Citrus Berry, which would take away my item, 75%, it's still not taking many hits at 75. I mean, it's just the truth. It's not taking many hits, period, no matter what typing it is. And that's the issue. And even if it does take a hit, it's not OHKOing everything at base 1 or 2 attack, even at +2. It just isn't. With base 70 speed, I probably have to run Jolly to outspeed everything. It's going to be, you know, I got to prefer Scarfers, obviously, because the True Scarfmon is going to bop this thing in one hit. So, just too frail, not strong enough. I wouldn't call it weak, but it's not strong enough, even with the sharpness ability, to really, you know, do big things for me. So, yeah, that's the reason I dropped Veluza. Last but not least, Rampardos. Now, again, I think I said this in the... I think I said this in the draft analysis as I was going through. I realized it doesn't get rock polish anymore. And while Trailblaze does boost your speed, it only boosted by 1, which is huge. The difference between boosting by 1 speed and boosting by +1 and +2 on speed for this Pokemon is huge because it's base 58 speed. It's extremely slow. If I get a rock polish off, you know, that's such a large difference compared to if I get a Trailblaze off. Again, Terra Captain, that's great. It's still got to outspeed things, and it's still just not that bulky. It's got actually poor defensive stats. So that's the issue I was running into when trying to incorporate this thing into a team. And, you know, I think it's a great Pokemon. I think it's a really fun Pokemon. I think it's cool, you know, to try to use. I didn't see myself using this thing without rock polish. I didn't see myself using it. So anyway, that's the 5 that I dropped. Now on to the good news. So I had a few different, like, so I didn't make the free agent transactions until I did the trade. I wasn't even planning this. The coach, I forget who it was, they reached out to me to do the trade. They wanted Pheasantipity. I'm like, all right. He was willing to give me his first round pick, Enamorus. I didn't want Enamorus because I wanted a different fairy. I already had, you know, my Thundurus, and frankly I didn't have the points to get Enamorus. So I didn't think it made too much sense for my team. So I decided, you know, it's got the Dragalge. Let's just take the Dragalge, whatever you want to call it. It's a grounded poison. I need one of those. It's a dragon type to replace the Cyclizar that I knew I was getting rid of. It's deceptively strong with adaptability. I know it's only got base 97 special attack, but adaptability makes this thing very powerful. Can hit fairies very powerfully with the Sludge Wave. I do get Toxic Spike, so I can still Toxic Spike stack if that's an option. Astromo could raise my defense. I don't see myself using that, I'm just gonna be honest. But it's an option to boost my physical defense because this thing's special defense is great. Its HP is lacking, but this thing does take special attacks very well, especially with the Poison Dragon typing. I resist, a few key typings. So, still Earthquake weak, but you have to have a grounded poison in this meta. And it does get the option to flip turn, which is great. I actually kind of prefer this thing to be slower because I can kind of take the hit and then flip turn, and then I get a free switch into whatever I bring in. So that's fine. I can haze if I need to. Probably not going to do that. And yeah, hoping that I bring Dragalge a lot, and I'm hoping it does impact the game positively. So after that, I dropped Cyclizar for Iron Crown. Now, oh, by the way, Dragalge, I don't know how many points. I think Dragalge is 8 points. Iron Crown's 11. Now, Registeel. Registeel is, I think it was 9 or 10 points, so it was cheaper than Iron Crown, and it's probably the better Pokemon to use because I actually like Registeel. But I wanted to try Iron Crown. This thing looks so fun, to be honest. You know, it's a Steel Psyche type. You can obviously use the booster. I don't know why the sprite isn't showing up. You can use the booster energy to boost your highest stat. So I could see myself using booster energy with the speed and then going Calm Mind to boost my stats. It does get Volt Switch, which is huge. Tachyon Cutter is basically its signature move. For some reason it shows up. Okay. There it is. It's basically like Dragon Darts, but it's a Steel type move and it's special. So that's what it is. And it doesn't check accuracy, which I'm pretty sure Dragon Darts technically does, but I don't think that'll come into play. And then does get the new move Psychic Noise, which will just prevent the target from healing, which could actually matter, you know, if I'm going up against bulky Pokemon that like to heal themselves up. Yeah, I said Volt Switch there. So yeah, I think this Pokemon should be really fun. Obviously, Steel types are good against this thing. I do get Focus Blast. It's a little risky, but if I have to do it, then I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna pull it out. So that's something to keep in mind. I do get Stored Power as well, which is kind of interesting because this thing does get Iron Defense. Iron Defense, Calm Mind, Agility. I'm not using all three of those moves, but it's got a lot of diversity there, especially with the booster energy. If I'm able to boost my speed, I don't think that factors into Stored Power. I don't think it does. But yeah, stat boost. I don't think it's considered a stat boost. Anyway, just hoping to put in some work with this thing. I think it's really fun, so that's why I picked it up. I think it will be fun to use. Next up, I traded Earthworm I dropped Earthworm, picked up Wigglytuff. It's 3 points, and I wanted a Wish Passer, to be honest. I've always been big on having a Wish Passer. Again, another momentum user with the Baton Pass. But this thing gets so many different, utility moves. I get Stealth Rocks, I get Thunder Wave, I get Wish, obviously. I get Psychic Noise, which is cool. Perish Song could even be something to kind of stop something like an Annihilate, possibly. Knockoff will knock off items, which is great. I get Encore things that try to set up on me. Now look, these things' defenses are very poor, obviously, but its HP is 140. So if I invest in those defenses, I should be able to live a good amount of hits and, be able to wish myself up or wish. Those are very bulky wishes. It's base 140. If you don't know how Wish works, it takes so if I'm max HP here, it'll take half of my HP, 484, what is that, 242? It'll get 242 to anything. So if this thing doesn't have any HP, that'll, bring up Iron Crown by like 65, 70% or something like that. So, yeah, Wigglytuff passing fat wishes. Which is awesome, and it is also a Terra Captain, so it's going to be Terra, Fairy, Water, or Steel. Those are its 3 types. Obviously, it has to be one of its original typings. I figured Fairy was probably better to have than normal, just so I can resist fighting types if it comes down to it. And what am I doing here? Am I still on? Yeah. Okay. Anyway. That's Wigglytuff. Drop Veluza for Regigigas, which is another Terra Captain. I think this thing for 5 points offers a lot of value. Look at its stats. It's got crazy stats, and obviously slow start. Having its speed and physical attack, I think it is, for 5 turns sucks. And that's every time you bring it in. It's not just the first time, which I think they should have buffed this thing and have it just at the beginning, the first time you bring it out, and then after that. I think that would make it much better, but it's just how it is. But this thing can still work as like a defensive Pokemon. Look at those defensive stats. I don't get any recovery besides like leftovers, but if I run leftovers, this thing also has access to Thunder Wave. I can protect to stall those slow start turns a little bit. I can knock off still, another knockoff user. Body Slam to get paras if I don't want to run Thunder Wave. And, once this thing's slow start is gone, it's dealing a lot of damage, even uninvested. Base 160 attack. Those Body Slams are going to be going crazy. Like I said, Terra Captain, so it's normal, Fairy, and Ground. I picked Fairy because it's great typing. And I picked Ground just so that I could have Stab Earthquakes. If it comes down to it, that could be very powerful. I could also be, you know, an electric immunity if I decide not to bring Ting Lu for whatever reason. What else does it get? Yeah, nothing much else. But I mean, look at all these coverage moves. It's great. It's awesome. I'm loving it. Like the McDonald's. So last but not least, I dropped Rampardos and I picked up Virizion. I'm actually really kind of excited about picking up Virizion because, first of all, it's got a good speed tier, and this is a Pokemon that, like, unlike Pheasantipede, this is a Pokemon that you're gonna want a speed tier or speed creep because it's a Pokemon that uses its speed tier effectively. It's not just something that has is naturally fast, but doesn't use it because that's just not what it does. Pheasantipede doesn't run a lot of speed because it's not going to be sweeping you. It's going to be trying to pivot in and then take hits and U-turn out and roost and all that. Virizion's going to try to sweep you, to be honest, probably, in most cases, because it's got the speed stat. It's also got Calm Mind. It gets Swords Dance. It gets Trailblaze. It gets, you know, a bunch of obviously good moves, you know, Close Combat and Leaf Blade for stab, Quick Attack for priority, probably never going to use that. It does get Sacred Sword, which is interesting if I don't want to lower my defenses with Close Combat. Zen Headbutt and Stone Edge. Now these are two pretty important moves here because this is also a Terra Captain, so these last three are all Terra Cat. This is 6 points, by the way. I wanted Grass type to, you know, kind of switch into Earthquakes. It's not the best physically, but I did need it. You know, at this point I felt like having at least a resistance to ground types is important here, since I lost Earthworm. It does get Justify as well, which is, you know, could be surprising if I switch in to a knockoff or something, and I get that +1 attack. That could be helpful, and dual screens too. Anyway, like I was saying, it's a Terra Captain. Fighting, Rock, and Psychic are the types for this Pokemon. Like I said, Stone Edge hits even harder if it's stabbed, as long as it hits. If I go Terra Rock, and I went Terra Rock so I could hit Fighting types a little harder, or Flying types a little harder. Zen Headbutt or Terra Psychic is nice so I can hit Poison types a little harder. So those are the two typings, I believe the only two, that resist my dual stab. So, you know, depending on what, maybe I'm going up against, what's a Poison type? Pecharunt's not in the game yet, not in this league, but if I was going up against a Pecharunt, Poison Psychic would be pretty crazy. That would be great. Swords Dance, it comes in, Poison Psychic, Zen Headbutt, maybe I get oh, my bad, smack the mic, maybe I get a flinch, you know, you never know. Or if I'm going up against a Mandibuzz, or a Moltres, Moltres is even better, Terra Rock, Stone Edge, goodbye, that easy. And again, I'm pretty fast, I've got a lot of, my offensive stats aren't great, but if I'm going for Swords Dance, that's an immediate +2. I'm already fast, and I'm investing in my speed, unlike Pheasantipede. I keep bringing up that damn bird. And, you know, it's got a great special bulk. So in a lot of ways, it is like Pheasantipede. It's just kind of better in its given role, I believe. I know I already have a fighting type with Quaquaval, but this thing is naturally faster. So I'll have to, you know, I'll be immediately threatening to the opponent, I think. Anything in between base 85 speed and 108. Some things would just be like, okay, I'm just going to sit in front of Quaquaval, and, you know, if I can knock it out, I can knock it out. But with Virizion, it's still going to do damage to you. It's going to do a good amount of damage. So, before you even attack. So that's good. Also, Leech Seed. So I could, wait, I don't get Leech Seed. Okay, I must have gotten that. Must have thought Giga Drain. Anyway, Upper Hand. Quaquaval gets that too, though, so whatever. Those are the 5 transactions that I made, 1 trade and 4 free agents. Hoping you enjoyed this video. It's just a little breakdown. It's actually 20 minutes long, but just a little breakdown as to, you know, what changes I made. I didn't want to just go into week 3 with nothing explained if I bring any of these new Pokemon. Of course, you'll have to find that out on Friday. I don't know. I'm hoping to upload this probably Tuesday. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.